Starting the day off with installing the ground. This is a ground I took off the ES300 I was taking the parts off of. It's just the regular ground, and I connected to the strut tower right here. Make sure you take off some of the paint because I did just finish painting this. So went ahead and removed some of the paint with a knife, install the ground right here, and then over here to the back of the supercharger. So that's done. Now I'm gonna focus on this right here. Got it all mounted using the provided, oh, my finger's in the way. Using the provided hardware, I got it mounted. So now let's go ahead and install it, the can. So we already routed the hoses for the catch can. Make sure you get PCV fuel line or /PCV. That's the same stuff I got from O'Reilly's, or AutoZone I should say. And we kind of looped it in a funny way, but that's because this thing, it would have been better if the ports were straight out, but they're at an angle outwards. So we got it from the PCV. This hose underneath the, I think they call this the swan neck of the supercharger. And then right here, that is the in port, and then this is the out port. Underneath, same deal, towards the back of the supercharger. So that's how you wire, or that's how you do the catch can, and it's at a really good spot. Look at that, it's out of the way. The supercharger belt doesn't hit it, so that's good. Even if when I do decide to run the pulley bracket, I should still have enough space to tuck this down. But as I said, that's gonna be for another day, and I gotta clean up my power steering mess. Kind of overflowed a little bit, so gotta clean this up real quick. Went ahead and removed the fog light so I could touch up this area with some black paint. I kind of want to keep it the whole front end black, just so it can match the black of the AC condenser. And I think too much white is not that great, but that's fine. Just for reference for myself, the bulb inside of the fog light is an H3. So I'm gonna clean these up. Looks like he had painted them with some yellow. I'm gonna clean them up and maybe apply some clear vinyl or whatever it is people put on their fog lights to make them look yellow. Kind of want to get that JDM look. JDM, bro. But let's go ahead and touch this up. Came out decent. I'm not really looking for anything perfect right now. This is just good for now. And went on eBay and I bought these M6. I believe they're 16-inch or 16 millimeter, I should say. Bolts. They're all black. Bought a pack for like 10 bucks. Came with 10 bolts and 10 screws. But I'm gonna use them right here for the fog light brackets, since the ones that I took off the bolts, they're pretty rusted up. So I don't know, attention to detail. I installed the weather stripping bracket for the hood and the bumper. This one's a bit pitted, as you can see, but I don't think I'm gonna be able to get this in the United States because they really let you know that it is for the GT4 version right here with the 4WD. So you guys that have the GT4 on your side of the country, or on your guys' side of the world, I should say, send me a message if you could try and get me one of these. Maybe the left-hand drive hood latch for the GT4 as well, because this is for just a regular Celica GT for American bumpers and hoods. And this one's also broken as well, and the only way to get it open is we got this long zip tie. Whenever we pop the hood latch, we yank it, and then we're able to lift it up. So I'm gonna go ahead and install the wideband and the rear O2 sensor. So part numbers, you guys have been mentioning that showing the part numbers is really helpful. So here's the rear O2 sensor part number. It's a Denso. And then I bought this wideband gauge kit, 304110. That's the part number, and it comes with all this right here. Got a cool little sticker. some of their products, instruction manual, the actual gauge itself. So I've installed one, or Joseph has installed one of these on his Celica, and it was pretty cool. So I wanted to get the same thing on my Celica. And it has the mounting hardware, crimps, the harness, and the sensor right here. And it's a 7/8. So I'm gonna go down there and install the O2 sensors and play a little bit with the shift cables because they're kind of close to the exhaust manifold. So instructions make it really simple. Lets you know what to do or what wires what. So we're gonna connect this one, and I'm running it through the center console, and right there's the plug. So I'm just gonna connect it to that. So that's where my wideband's gonna go, and then that's for the rear O2 sensor. So let's go get those wired up. So because there wasn't any O2 sensors on the bottom of the original 5S, there's no plugs for spreading the wires for the rear O2. So what I ended up doing was I cut a plus right here in between the shifter, and I ran the wideband O2, and I had to disconnect the rear O2 so that I could get this exhaust shield to slide on over. But now that I got both installed, or both through the plug, the grommet, whatever you want to call it, now I can go ahead and put the heat shield back on. So let's go ahead and do that. Put a little bit of the anti-seize, and let's go ahead and install it right there. Insert Scotty Kilmer sounds. And make sure to tighten it. Slips wrench. So I already reinstalled the exhaust shield and went ahead and bended this a little bit just so that the cable doesn't rub on it. It should be fine for now. It doesn't look like it's gonna rub on anything, but just for safety, I pull this back a little bit, and everything's all wired up, or installed, I should say. Let me just go ahead and just check them again with the wrench, and we're done down here somewhat. So I removed the shift linkage, I guess that's what you call it, shift cables actually, and I bought this heat wrap that I'm gonna wrap the cable with because this is kind of close to the exhaust manifold. And yeah, you're gonna be like, oh, why are you using plastic zip ties? Well, these zip ties are gonna be more towards the ends, not towards the middle where it's almost touching, so it should be fine. If anything, I'll check on it later in the future, and if I have to, then I'll just buy metal zip ties and call it a day. But for now, this should do, and I'll go ahead and finish that up right now. There you have it. I quadruple wrapped it, and it should be good. So this is all that was left over. It's fine. Now I'm gonna go ahead and reinstall it. So I ended up removing the high pressure power steering hose so that I can wrap it with some heat wrap. And I got these awesome metal zip ties off Amazon. So I'm gonna go ahead and reinstall that, and I bought some new washers for the Union bolt, I think it's called. Anyways, let's go ahead and install that. So bought a Walmart battery, but I'm not using the correct tie down. This is off a 7th gen. You can see it's kind of angled, so might get a longer one of this and maybe make the hole, maybe make a new hole over here so that it sits straight. Looks like the rear one sits pretty flush, or pretty straight, I should say. But when I bought the car, it didn't have the 6th gen bracket, and I hardly see these cars at Pick and Pull. I don't know why, but Maybe when I go to pick and pull and I find one, hopefully I see the battery tie down. If not, then this will do for now. And another thing I've actually noticed was my supercharger, it's rubbing up against the hood. So I'm gonna go ahead and probably hammer that in with some way so I don't make it look all bad, but definitely rubbing. So gotta take care of that. Yep. We're LSD boys. LSD boys. That's awesome.
And towards the end there, yeah, I was just
So I'm gonna replace the stock one with the Speed Source one.
Because of for the sanctity of all kinds of weird crabs.
And for this
So I was having issues going into 5th gear with the stock push rod, and I ended up going with the extended one, and it somewhat seemed to have let me go into 5th because it would grind like crazy when I would just try to put it into 5th. So in order to run the Corolla S steering wheel, you have to replace the clock spring with a 2001 Toyota Camry. Could be the 4-cylinder or the 6-cylinder, but it's only held on by 4 Phillips heads. It has the same connection right here for the clock spring, for the airbag, and I'm gonna go ahead and remove it and replace it with the one I got from the junkyard. So I didn't see that this right here for the cruise control is completely different plug. So we're gonna need to repin the plug. I'm gonna have to go to the junkyard and grab the plug for this and repin it with this, but I can run it without it for now. Just wanted to make sure the airbag and the clock spring are working, so I'm gonna go ahead and run it. And just like that, it's connected to the airbag. This thing looks pimp. Ooh. Damn, can you believe this is off a 2001, 2002 Toyota Corolla? That red stitch though.